Hey guys, welcome back for another jig tie. If you're new to the channel, my name is Chuck and we're tying jigs, and we're going to be doing some flies for everything from bluegill up to muskie, leading our way into the end of February. And I want to thank you for stopping by, and I hope you subscribe if you like the video, guys, because we're going to have more coming down the line. But today we're tying up a little crappie jig right here, a nice little pattern to have in your tackle box when you're out there chasing those slabs. We'll be going over everything that you need as always. So let's get on with the jig tie. Okay, let's get this jig tied up here. We're going to be using a gray thread today, and we're going to run all the way back to where this sickle hook right here starts its bend. And then we're going to work our way back up about halfway up that shank right there. Now the first thing we're going to be adding to this tie right here is, this was a white feather. All I done was took a chartreuse permanent waterproof marker, a permanent type marker, any kind of work, and just colored it and just let it dry up. Does a great job when you want to color those white feathers for different types or different colored jig ties as well as fly ties. And I want this to come back probably about an inch off from where we stopped the thread right there at the beginning of the bend. So we'll get him measured out here. Now we'll lay him right on top of that shank. The color part of it, or the top part of this feather right here, I want it to lay downward where it'll be showing upward when you get your jig tied on and fishing with it. We want to guide him right on top of that shank there. There we go. The thing that we're going to be adding to this right here is we're going to be adding some polar flash. This is the pearl right here. We're just going to put a little bit on it there to give it a little bit of a flash. And it's going to take just a very small amount for this smaller jig right here. Clean him up there a little bit. And we want this to come back down about halfway on that feather toward the back. Lay him right on top of that shank, push him across it, make sure it wraps around, that way it's all the way around, and it'll be pretty good around that feather right there that we added in the back as a kicker. There we go. Now the next thing we're going to be adding to this tie right here is some feathers. I'm going to be going with a gray hackle feather and a pink hackle feather. And the way I usually do this is just V it out. I'll come right up here to this top feather where it ends. I'll just clip that out. Now I take a Ziploc bag and save these right here. And I've got a mixture of many different colors in my Ziploc bag because I can always go back to these if I'm just going to tie all hackle feather type jig. Waste not, want not is the way I feel about it. And then we're just going to go ahead, go in here and vis a bunch of these out on both feathers. And the way I like doing this here is I like to take the longer ones, which will be down toward the bottom of the feather, and start toward the back with those, and then go with the shorter ones up toward the front. We're going to lay this right on the side of this jig is the way we're going to be going up with this. Then we'll get us a gray one, and repeat right on the other side. And then I like going around to the other side. So I'll do a pink, a gray, and then I'll come over and do a gray and a pink. I kind of switch them up when adding these hackle feathers up these little jigs, these little crappie jigs like that, I like just how it just meshes the colors together when you kindly offset them. And then we'll give him some tight wraps and run all the way down to the back of the jig head, and just building it up a little bit across that shank with this thread here. Now we got our feathers done. We got our little bit of kick or flash. The next thing that we're going to be adding is some chartreuse flashing right here on this little tie. So it's just going to take like maybe a couple of strands. How we're going to run with this right here. Just about 3 on a small jig like this. Always make sure that they're even. We're going to just layer a little jig right over to the side here. We want this to run back down to about where the feathers ends, the hackle feathers ends. Then we'll just go over to the other side, cross it over that collar, lay it right down the side of that jig. And get the other side. Then we'll just measure them out here. Get it about as close as you can. Okay, the next thing we're going to be adding, this is a 1/4 inch. This is what I call like a yarn base. This is a gray smoke color in the chenille. And it doesn't take much of this at all, especially where it's 1/4 inch on these smaller type jigs. We'll run our thread back up toward the back of the jig head. Clean off some of this, exposing that thread inside of that chenille. Bring it around, do a couple loops around him, locking him in. And then we're just going to start wrapping right down toward where that thread ends. And then we're going to work our way right back up to right back behind that jig head. Do a couple crisscross wraps on him. And then we'll get the rest of this excess cut off here. And then last but not least, we're just going to run a few tight wraps, wide wraps down the chenille, making sure that's locked in, then build this collar up right behind that jig head. And then last but not least, we're going to do 5 turns on the whip finish. Seat him in good. And then we're going to hit it with a UV resin. I'm going to pull that chenille back just a little bit, exposing that collar, and just giving it very little around it. Don't take much at all. And then we're going to hit it with a UV light. Well, guys, there you go. A nice little pattern right there to have in your tackle box when you're out there chasing those big slabs. If you liked the video, I hope you give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. We're growing each and every day, and it's because of you all. We're going to be bringing a whole lot more jig tying all the way into February, along with some fly tying as well. And don't forget to smash that notification bell. That way you will be notified when we upload right here on the channel at Hills and Gills. Until next time, stay safe out there on the water, and we'll see you right back here in the next one.